Hey everyone, it's Claudia, and welcome to a new week and a new episode of Take a Moment to pause with purpose. And I've been in a series of living intentionally. And I didn't realize when I started this that there's a lot of things that go into making decisions to live intentionally. And so here's another week on that series. And this week is take a moment to live intentionally with your time. How many times do you think the day's gotten away from me? I don't even know what I accomplished today. You set priorities and then things come in and distract you. And it feels like just life is getting away from us. So I want to deal with all of that, not only from a practical standpoint, but also from a biblical standpoint. And what does God say about all of this? And, everybody has 365 days in the year, 7 days per week, 24 hours per day. And some of us get a lot more accomplished and feel much more fulfilled each day than others do. Why is that? Everybody's different. We all have different ways to work. We all have different things we do in a day. Some of us have families and that take our time, and we can't focus completely on what it is that we want to do. But each thing has purpose. Now, I know right now what's coming to me is my mom. My mom was so organized to a fault. I mean, really, I think she was OCD about it all. She really was. Everything was on a schedule. Meals were on a schedule. When she cooked was on a schedule. She planned for the week. We were on a schedule, and she didn't sway from that. It was the schedule. And I have to confess, think I fell off the turnip truck when I was growing up because my mom and I are completely different. I set priorities and I have clear direction in my life, but I am much more flexible and I just kind of flow with things more than she did. And I think that's important that as we go through each day, that we need to understand what are you making time for? What are we making time for? What are the priorities? And there's a difference between being busy and being intentional. So, I mean, do you go through the day of, I know exactly what I'm going to do, and you leave no room for any unexpected events to come in? Or are you so freewheeling that you make no plans at all? So that doesn't work either. So it is important that we do set priorities. We have to understand what are our goals in life, what are our objectives, and how are we going to achieve them. And we should take little bits and pieces. I mean, yes, we have the long-term plan, but every day we should be taking steps toward it so we don't overwhelm ourselves. Like, what we should be doing, say, at the beginning of each day, set the top three priorities for that day. I mean, now, not everything is urgent, not everything is important, and some things can wait. So really evaluate your what you need to get done and put them in those categories. Is this urgent? Do I have to get this done today? Is this important, which is less urgent than urgent? Or can it wait? Because so many things keep nipping at our heels that we are thrown off course and we don't even know what we have to do anymore. I mean, people can come in, distractions can come in, whatever it is. But if you stay focused and if you make an intentional decision with your time each day, you can accomplish a lot. It's amazing what you can get done. And then if you don't get done what you planned on, well, roll it over into the next day, or maybe it didn't even really have to happen. Maybe it wasn't all that important that it needed to, that what you thought it was. And we'll start to get more skilled at determining what is urgent, what is important, and what can wait. But do set three priorities every day that you need to get done. And even the Lord deals with this. I mean, in Proverbs, Proverbs is the book of wisdom as far as I'm concerned. There are so many things that deal with everyday life and how we should approach things. So, in Proverbs 16:9, in the hearts of humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. So, while you're setting your top 3 priorities every day, seek the Lord first. That should be a major priority. I will not start my day until I seek the Lord and ask him for his wisdom and what would he have me do during the day. Some people go, oh, please, that's nonsense. No, it's not nonsense, because there's a peace in that. There's a steadfastness in that, knowing that we're anchored in the Lord, and he does give us that wisdom every single day when we ask for it. Even King Solomon, the priority he had, he asked the Lord for wisdom, and he was the wisest king. So when I speak these from a biblical perspective, it's because that's the way I live my life. And so one of my top priorities every day is seek the Lord first. Then, are you planning your time, or are you just reacting to time? That's a big deal. As I said before, you prioritize, but we have calendars, we have schedules, we prepare, but are we leaving room for the unexpected? And I've dealt with this topic before, not in this context, but um, we should schedule our time. We should be diligent about setting our priorities and our time and scheduling things out. We should even be scheduling time for ourselves, because life happens to us and then we forget about us. So as you're scheduling, as you're filling in your calendar, allocate time for yourself as well. That's very important. Um, so, I mean, and it can be kind of overwhelming when we see the calendar completely filled up. And I remember in the days when I was in corporate, oh my goodness, my calendar was so filled up, I had no time to breathe every day. And I would get to work at like 6:37 in the morning, and I wouldn't leave until 2 o'clock the next morning, because I was in meeting after meeting after meeting, and my day to get to tasks wouldn't start until maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. And then there were projects dumped on me at the last minute for the next day. So that's insanity. That really is insanity. So my unexpected calendar life was dictating what I should do, instead of my taking the initiative to delegate and allocate my time wisely. And I've learned so much since then. As I said, what's urgent, what's important, and what can wait. And unfortunately, my personal experience was in a corporate situation. Others are constantly coming at you and grabbing your time to suit their needs. So it's important, it's so important to plan your time and not just react to time and to people coming at you. And again, there's a scripture verse for it, and it's out of Proverbs, the book of wisdom, Proverbs 21:5. The plans of the diligent lead to profit, as surely as haste leads to poverty. So there's another facet of this where when you plan things out, you make the allocated time. But when you don't plan and life comes at you and you do things in haste, you don't even think about what you need to do, it can have a detrimental impact on your life going forward, and that will lead to poverty. You're not prospering in the day, it's being robbed from you. So, yes, we have to be diligent, we have to plan, but we have to not let things control us. We have to be the controlling factor, but have the wisdom that when things do come at us, we can step back, breathe, evaluate again. Is this a priority? Is this urgent, a priority, or can this wait? So, but we have to make room for the unexpected and have that flexibility, because if we're too rigid, oh my gosh, we can break. Okay. We don't have room in our lives to breathe, to take a step back, to pause and reflect during the day. That is important as well. And I'm going to deal with that next on what are you waiting to do? Okay. There's rest and there's avoidance. Are you making the time to rest in a day? And I mean conscious rest. Because are you constantly on the go, constantly moving? And I've done it myself. I've lived that life. Go, 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 do, do, do. I was exhausted by the end of the day, and half the time I didn't even know what I was accomplishing because I was always in task mode as opposed to purpose mode. Again, this is take a moment to pause with purpose. What is our purpose on a daily basis in life? That we should not be allowing things to just hit us, and so we need to take that rest, but also, are we avoiding the things we need to do? And that is procrastination. There are many things we have to do that we don't want to do. And that can be the death knell, okay? Because everything has to be intentional. And yeah, procrastination can be intentional too, but it doesn't bode well. It doesn't do us any good. And so resting, as I said, is intentional, but avoidance and procrastination, that's a very different subject. That's a very different thing than intentional resting. Procrastination, I've done it myself, and I think I used this example once before. When I needed to write, and I didn't want to. I didn't know what I was going to write. I would say, "Oh, let me go do this. Let me go do the laundry. Let me go do this." I was procrastinating instead of getting to the task at hand. And what causes procrastination? Is it fear of not succeeding? Is it fear that we're not going to be good at what we need to do? We need to think about this kind of stuff because when we're diligent, when we have a purpose and we are intentional, there is fruit from that. We see that, oh, I really accomplished something today. So then out of Colossians 4:5, walk in wisdom toward outsiders, making the best use of the time. So we have to be intentional. We have to make the best use of our time because otherwise, we're going to get through the day, the week, the year and go, I don't know where this day went. I don't know where this year went. I don't know where this week went because we're not being intentional. So I'm giving you a very practical approach to things this week, but also based on biblical principle. And I've had to deal with this myself. I've had to learn to do this stuff for myself. Because I said I was procrastinating. And for me, looking back at my life, especially as a kid, young, I was fearful. I was fearful of making a mistake. And I didn't want to do because I didn't want to be judged that I was stupid or I didn't know how to do things. So that can be a major factor involved in procrastination. You're not going to do it right, whatever. So avoid that pitfall and use your time wisely. Make the best use of your time. So the other major factor in our life is people coming at us and what deserves a no. I mean, I used to be a people pleaser. Sure, yes, of course I'll do this. I'll do this, no problem. So there are distractions that come in. I said, you got families, you got bosses, you've got things that come flying in that are unexpected. So we say yes to everything and we drives ourselves crazy and we become so stressed out because we are not doing the priorities we set at the beginning of each day. Plan the week out. I mean, my mom used to plan the week for meals and she would make them and freeze them so she didn't have to think about it as the week went on. That's what I call intentional. I don't do that. Trust me, I don't do that. But I do plan my time. And for example, I've got certain times that I will do this podcast. I will record the podcast. I have to edit it. I have to set up the videos. Then I have to make my clips for each day of the week. So I have scheduled times during the week, during the days to do all of this. It doesn't just happen. I'm grateful I learned how to do this. I had to teach myself and I had to make the time to learn how to do this. And now I'm reaping the fruit of it because I know what I'm doing now. Or at least I think I know what I'm doing now. But it's important to say no to those things that are going to distract us and pull us away from those things that are a yes. Okay? So say no to people that are trying to rob you of your priorities, rob you of your time, rob you of your day, and rob you of yourself. So it's priorities versus obligations. Do you feel obligated to other people? Do you feel obligated to do something for somebody else? And that will pull you away from what is your priorities. This is very practical stuff, but it's very real. How many of us live like this? How many of us do this? It's like, whoa, here I go. I'm moving off course again. And then you get frustrated with yourself. You get frustrated with everybody else because they're taking you away from what you know you need to do. So there's a scripture verse for this. Matthew 5:37. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. And we got to build a backbone here because we're afraid of offending somebody if we tell them no. But not everything deserves your time. Even if a task comes in that somebody drops on your desk or drops on you, it could be a no. I'm not doing that. And I think one of the biggest things, and this is the Lord downloading to me. I mean, the whole thing is God is downloading me. I do some preparation now, but I'm very intentional about this podcast, and the task at hand. But one of the things that I've had to learn is about an overcommitment. This is huge. As I said, there's only so much time in a day, and I overcommit. I did used to overcommit to people, to things, and it stressed me out. I mean, look at your calendar. What is filling your calendar time? What is filling the space in your calendar? There are many things that need to go. And as I said, when you have to say yes to yourself too, think about the gaps in your day, if there are gaps in the day, and there should be gaps in your day. For example, are you riding a bus or a train? What are you doing during that time? Are you looking out the window or watching people? Or are you reading a book? Are you listening to a podcast? Are you causing yourself to grow and learn and expand? That's important too. And we need to make time for that kind of stuff as well. It's not just these tasks that do. We have to be intentional about even the downtime. Okay? So let your yes be yes and your no be no. And don't overcommit. Don't be people pleasing. Don't let your time go, but protect those things in your life that matter. Again, priorities versus obligations. And then if time is your life, where is it going? So we have to protect our time. And this comes down to action versus intention. We can want to do something, but do we take the steps to actually do it? I mean, good intentions aren't meaningful unless we act on them. Again, we have to be intentional. We have to have purpose. We have to be able to be people of action and not just words. I don't know, this saying is coming to me. I mean, people, when I was growing up, they used to say things like, my mother used to say it actually, do as I say, but don't do as I do. Well, that's not a good lesson for a kid, especially. Do as I say, but don't do as I do. Our words, our lives should be in alignment and in sync with what our words are. And that's a priority too. We are a reflection of good habits. We are reflections of God. We are reflections of His intentions. So if we are not living examples of how we should be living from a biblical perspective, but even just from practicality in life and just throwing caution to the wind and just go, oh, it doesn't matter what I say. Think about today. Think about how many people say things and they don't live up to their promises. They don't live up to their words. What do you think about them? Not good. It's absolutely not good. Can you trust somebody like that? No. I want to be a person of intention and integrity. And I want my words to matter. I want to be a person of action and have my words live up to my actions and do what I say I'm going to do. So, so treat your daily tasks like they have meaning. Again, you want to avoid things. Focus on the long-term impact of your efforts because that builds consistency on daily motivation. For example, being consistent is is important, because if we are lackadaisical and we do it one day, we don't do it the next day, that doesn't build any good habits. I'm a metabolic health coach, and I do this for myself. Every day I am intentional what I need to do for the business and what I need to do for myself from a health perspective. I constantly work on my health. I have these habits that I do every day, so I stay on course. I'm very intentional about that. I'm very consistent, and I get the support I need. As an actress, I'm very intentional about the way I approach acting and the way I approach auditions and scripts. There's a method to what I do. I don't just go at it and don't prepare. I prepare everything. I give myself room to discover, but there is a structure. We need to have structure in our lives, and that is a building block for long-term impact. Okay, this is not short term. Yes, we have short term goals, daily, hourly, whatever, but then weekly, monthly, and yearly for the long term goal. And it all builds on itself. So be consistent, be intentional in everything you do. So the scripture for this is Psalm 122, Psalm 128, 2. You will eat the fruit of your labor. Blessings and prosperity will be yours. So, and God blesses the work of our hands. He does. As long as we give everything to him, we honor him with the way we work. We are good stewards of the work we do, the blessings God gives us, the jobs that we have. We have to steward our time wisely and honor God in the process. So it's critical that we don't waste our time. We are intentional, we are purposeful, and we take a moment to live intentionally with your time.